Okay, good. So glad we're here together for our divas. The topic: dating later in life.
Dating later in life. Donna and I have talked about this on more than one occasion, and we are still of the opinion dating later in life is more fun, and in a number of ways, it's much easier.
Yes, it is so much easier. I mean, think about it. When you're in your 20s or your 30s, you're going to college, you're looking for a spouse to have children with. It's a whole different thing. Maybe you're not set up financially, there's a little bit more struggle,
A
lack of,
lot more struggle.
lot more struggle, lack of sleep, small babies, all of that. Dating later in life brings different scenarios.
Well, brings different scenarios, brings different opportunities. A lot of us later on in life were more established. When Donna and I met, we've said it forever. Our romance was done in doggy years. It was very quick. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's the equivalent of 1 year is equal to 7 years of humans for a dog. So again, it was going 7 times faster. And I remember my kids, they were concerned. They're like, Dad. And I remember saying, look, if I do not know what I want by now, at 57 years of age, I will probably never know. This is what I want. She is what I want. She's the one I've been waiting for, looking for, just about all my life.
Thank you. And yes, I love it. You know, you're correct, absolutely correct. When you're dating later in life, first time I went out dating, I was in my early to mid 40s. I walked down the aisle at 50. My late husband passed away 10 years later, and I found myself walking down the aisle again at 60. What came with that was adult children who had opinions, and family members that had opinions, and siblings that had opinions. Everybody had opinions. It was fascinating, actually.
Yeah, they had opinions and they almost didn't care about what our opinions were.
Well, they were in a different place, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's fascinating when you sort of think about this. My mother is in her 90s, and I know some of her friends who are in their late 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And when they're out dating, because divas, it doesn't ever go away.
Never goes away.
Maybe they're just looking for companionship, but now there's
Yeah.
even more stuff that goes. And certainly,
Yeah.
I would be concerned if my mother wanted to get remarried.
Yeah.
I would be concerned, right? Doesn't mean I wouldn't want what's best for her, and I'd want to hear what she wanted. But so
Yeah.
it's the same thing. It's right here, our kids
Oh,
or
yeah.
your kids
Oh, yeah.
were in their mid 20s and 30s, and you had dated, but with nobody seriously for
Yeah.
20 years as you raised your kids. So they were alerted, and with good reason. So good for them, right?
Yeah, yeah. When hopefully by this time in our lives, if you're in your 50s, 60s, beyond, we have gotten to a point where we know ourselves. Now, some people are not in that place. Even in their 50s, 60s, 70s, they've never taken the time to work on personal development. They've never taken the time to really get to know themselves. One of the things that Donna has constantly said from the day one that I've known her, you watch her videos, what are you going to hear? She's always talking about being honest with yourself and asking yourself, what do you really want?
Right.
And asking yourself the hard questions and giving yourself brutally honest answers.
Right.
Now, we both know some people, they're older, they're widows, they don't want to date.
And that's okay too.
And that's perfectly okay. But if you want to date,
It's a lot easier now, and
Yeah.
and it's interesting because when we're younger, people refer to these things I share with you as games. They are not games. They are setting the stage for what you are looking for in your life now.
Yeah.
What does you want your life to look like now? What
Yep.
different do you want in your life now? When I decided to go back out and date after the passing of my late husband, that was a real bump in the road, okay? And I came to understand that I just had to think about what I wanted now and what did I want different. I wasn't looking to replace my late husband.
well, and you've said on a number of occasions, when she really started to think about it, she thought, well, what would I want in a man now?
Right.
She's a different person than she was when when she and Pietro got together. She's a different person now than she was when Pietro left.
Right.
So you need to ask yourself, you need to look at yourself where you're at now.
I love that.
And as you do, begin to ask yourself, what do I want now?
This is so good, divas. Take note, take copious notes,
Yeah.
because when you start to realize that there's nothing wrong with what happened before,
Yeah.
it either you lost your spouse through divorce or through death. What do you want now? When you start to adjust in your brain,
Yeah.
going, okay, I want different. What do I want now because I'm different?
Yeah.
That opens up a whole new world, makes it easy.
Yeah.
And the more you know about yourself, the more you'll know about others. Right?
And I would encourage you, get her book, read her book, watch her videos. She will give you steps. She will give you a pathway for you to understand what you really do want. How do you get to that point where you understand, you know what, this is what I want?
Yeah.
Now, I'll just give you one brief little point. She's always saying one of the ways to find out what you want is by coming and determining what you don't want.
Yeah. We learn so much in life in general. I don't
Yeah.
care if it's a house. I don't care if it's
Yeah.
a piece of furniture or you're dating. When we
Yeah.
find out what we don't want, we pivot to look for what we do want.
Yeah.
This is imperative, and it's also very healthy. So, and I will say very quickly that when I came to understand that I was ready to go back out and date, and I was looking for companionship initially, and this is about a year and a half after Pietro passed away, it dawned on me, and I said, wow, what would I want today? What do I want different? Because I'm a different person than I was when I first met my late husband. And what I wanted back then, and I asked myself the same question I'm saying right now, what did I want? What happened back in the 2009 or 8 or 7, I realized I wanted somebody who would cherish me. And I got that. And then this time around, when I started to go out and date in 2017 or 18, actually, I said, what do I want now? And I realized I wanted somebody with depth.
Now, also, I'll say this. The part about being cherished, that was now a given.
Yeah,
That was established.
right,
It wasn't,
right.
She didn't have to think, what do I want now? She already knew, I want to be cherished. But on top of that,
Right.
what else do I want?
Right. And that's a great point, because that was already, the bar was set.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wasn't going to find somebody who didn't cherish me. So that was already a given. Great point, baby.
Yeah.
And then I said, I want somebody who I can communicate and get into really deep conversations with, because Pietro was not that guy. Right. So I had the bar. I wanted to be cherished. We already knew that.
Yeah.
And this was the next thing I wanted. Hello. And listen, this is so good. Divas, I hope you're taking notes of this and understand.
Yeah.
So when people like to do the pro and con list, I never did. I always like to do the pro and pro list.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
Well,
Focus on what I want.
and again, it comes down to asking yourself the questions. Asking yourself the question, what do I really want? What are things that are game changers? What's something I won't tolerate?
Right.
Some people, we know one of the women that she's helped, it was teeth. If the guy's teeth were even a little funky, that was it. They're off the list.
Yeah.
First date, last date.
Well, and so I started to show her and help her to see, instead of focusing on what you don't want, which is bad teeth, why don't you focus on what you do want, which is really great hygiene and good teeth, right?
Yes.
So
and then you'll attract that.
Yeah, right. So anyway, there you have it. Take your notes, because at the end of the day, divas, baby,
It doesn't have to be that hard.